Some people say ghosts don't exist. Jackie Chan used to be one of them. As one of the world's biggest action stars, Jackie built his career on things he could see, touch, and control. Death-defying stunts? No problem. Jumping between buildings? Easy. But spirits? Hauntings? He'd laugh and say, those are just people scaring themselves. Until something happened that he couldn't explain. He saw the same woman 3 times. In 3 different countries. Across 3 different years. Each time he was alone, exhausted, and thousands of miles from home. Each time, he couldn't tell if she was human or something else. Jackie shared this story during a live television interview years ago. By then, he was already an international superstar. He had nothing to gain from making up ghost stories. The show was unscripted, unfiltered, just him telling what happened, because even decades later, he still doesn't have an answer. This is that story. The woman in white who appeared when reality felt thin. The encounters that made one of the world's most fearless men admit, maybe there are things we don't understand. Let's go back to where it all began. South Korea, the late 1970s, a freezing winter night. In the 1970s and 80s, Hong Kong cinema was exploding. Action films, martial arts epics, and horror movies were being produced back to back. Film crews traveled constantly to remote mountains in Taiwan, abandoned temples in Thailand, old hotels across Southeast Asia. These locations were quiet, isolated, and they carried a strange energy that crew members would whisper about late at night. Jackie was in South Korea filming one of these action movies. It was brutal winter, the kind of cold that cuts through your jacket and settles into your bones. The crew shot outdoors for 12, sometimes 14 hours straight, doing take after take of dangerous stunts in freezing conditions. This particular night, they didn't wrap until 2 or 3 in the morning. Jackie barely remembers the drive back. His mind was foggy. His body screamed for rest. The hotel was modest, nothing fancy. His room was small. A narrow bed, a bathroom on the left, and right by the entrance, a full-length mirror hanging on the wall. He turned on the heater, kicked off his shoes, and collapsed onto the bed without even changing. He lay on his side, facing that mirror. The room was dark except for a faint glow from the streetlights outside. Within seconds, he was asleep. But deep in the night, he woke up. Not from a sound, not from a dream. Something else. The air felt wrong. Heavy, like the room had stopped breathing. Like time itself had frozen. He tried to move, but his body wouldn't respond. At first, he thought, sleep paralysis. That thing where you wake up, but your body's still asleep. He'd heard about it. Then, from the corner of his eye, he saw something in the mirror. A figure. His first thought, his own reflection. A trick of shadows. But as his eyes focused, terror flooded through him. The figure wasn't in the mirror. It was standing beside his bed. In the room. Real. A woman. Dressed entirely in white. Long black hair falling past her shoulders, covering most of her face. Head tilted downward, as if watching him. She didn't move. Didn't breathe. Just stood there. Jackie was fully awake. He even checked if his hands were somehow pressing on his chest, causing the paralysis. But they weren't. They lay flat beside him. Conscious. Aware. Paralyzed. Terrified. He doesn't remember how long she stood there. Time meant nothing. Eventually, somehow, he drifted back into sleep, or maybe unconsciousness. When morning light filled the room, everything was normal. The mirror was just a mirror. No woman. No presence. But something had changed inside him. A crack in his certainty. He tried to dismiss it as exhaustion, stress, imagination. But the memory lingered like a shadow. He told himself it was a one-time thing. He was wrong. 2 years later, Jackie returned to Korea. This time with director Luo Wei for a new project. The production was smaller, the budget tighter, and the hotel reflected that. The room they shared was cramped. One narrow bed. 2 grown men squeezed together because there simply wasn't space for more. Before sleeping, Jackie even joked about it. You know, last time I was here, I saw a ghost in my room. But lightning doesn't strike twice, right? They both laughed. Then they slept. But that night, in the stillness when soul itself seemed to hold its breath, Jackie woke suddenly. No wind. No sound. Just that same oppressive heaviness he remembered. He opened his eyes, and his blood froze. She was there, the same woman. Long hair, white dress, head lowered. This time, less than a foot from the bed, close enough to touch. Panic exploded through him. He shouted, voice cracking, mixing Korean and Chinese in terror. "Don't touch me! Go away!" Director Luo jolted awake, fumbling for the light switch. The room flooded with brightness. "What happened? What's wrong?" Jackie pointed, hand trembling. "There's a woman. Right there. Do you see her?" The director stared where Jackie pointed. "Long, careful look. There's no one here. Jackie, we're alone." But Jackie saw her clearly. Solid, real, undeniable. And then, as electric light filled every corner, she moved. Backward. Slowly. Not walking, gliding. Her form became less solid, less defined, until she vanished completely into the light itself. The director saw nothing. To him, the room had been empty all along. Jackie couldn't sleep the rest of that night. The next day, he told Korean crew members what happened. They nodded knowingly. There was an old belief, they said, that women in white could be vengeful spirits, or protective ones. Guardians watching over certain people. That gave Jackie some comfort. Maybe she wasn't trying to harm him. Maybe she was actually protecting him somehow. In fact, after those encounters, his films went surprisingly well. Accidents that could have happened didn't. Stunts that should have gone wrong succeeded. He half joked with friends. Maybe that ghost is my lucky charm. But deep down he knew. A third encounter was coming, and it would be the worst. Jackie was back home in Hong Kong, filming another action movie. The schedule was punishing. They didn't finish until well past midnight. He returned to his hotel around 4 a.m. The room was newly renovated. Modern. Clean. Metal panels on the walls, large comfortable bed, everything shiny and new. He turned on the air conditioner, pulled the curtains shut against the city lights, and fell asleep immediately. But in the dead of night, something woke him. A voice. Soft. Intimate. Right next to his ear, as if someone was leaning over him. Jackie. His own name. His heart stopped. He turned his head instantly, eyes wide. No one. The curtains were closed tight. No light. The air conditioner hummed on the opposite wall, too far to create any draft. But then he felt it. Cold wind. Not from the AC. From directly behind him, brushing the back of his neck. Not natural. Not possible. The cold crept upward across his scalp, spreading through his body until he was completely frozen. Every hair stood on end. He started chanting prayers he'd learned as a child, trying to focus, trying to fight the terror. But his fingers trembled. His body refused to move. Then another gust. Stronger, colder, more deliberate, like invisible fingers running through his hair. Jackie struggled. Finally, he reached the light switch. Slammed it. The room flooded with light. He sat up, gasping like he'd been drowning. His reflection in the wall mirror stared back, pale, terrified, drenched in cold sweat. Nothing. No one. Just an empty room. The next morning, the hotel called. His room had experienced an unexplained power failure during the night. The electrical system completely cut out. They needed to move him. The strange part? His was the only room on the entire floor with any problem. But Jackie, stubborn, refused. "I'm fine. I'm not scared. I'll stay." That night, when he returned after filming, the room was pitch black. Main lights wouldn't work. Only a small floor lamp in the corner provided weak, insufficient light. He tried to act normal, showered, changed clothes, but his eyes kept darting to the mirror. Around midnight, he heard crackling. Electrical sparks from the TV plug, little bursts of light in the darkness. He sighed with relief. Just a faulty connection. He unplugged it, went back to bed. Problem solved. But minutes later, another sound began. Not electrical. Something else. A low murmur. Whispering in a language he couldn't identify. And underneath, soft, mournful crying that seemed to come from the walls themselves. That's when Jackie broke. All his courage, all his pride gone. He grabbed the phone, voice high with panic. Please, change my room. Now. I don't care where. Just get me out. The staff heard the genuine terror. They came immediately. After moving to a different room on another floor, the rest of the night was silent. Normal. Peaceful. Years later, Jackie began to see patterns. All 3 encounters happened while filming, while working at his absolute limit. Exhausted, vulnerable, caught between waking and sleeping. That thin space where reality feels negotiable. He came to believe that certain states of mind make us more visible to things on the other side. When you're that tired, that focused, maybe the barrier between worlds becomes permeable. Jackie said in that interview, just because we can't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The woman in white who stood beside his bed in Korea. The cold wind that whispered his name in Hong Kong. The presence that appeared across 3 years in 3 places. These aren't just stories to him anymore. They're evidence. Proof that the universe is stranger and more complex than we usually acknowledge. They taught him something important. No matter how strong you are, how successful, how much control you think you have, when you face the truly unknown, you must remain humble. Because some things can't be fought. Some things can't be explained. Some things can't be captured on camera or proven in a lab. Jackie Chan saw something. 3 times. He doesn't know what it was, but he knows it was real. And maybe that's the most terrifying part of all.